Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
I don't even know what the lead story is today.
What?
Yeah,
How is it not the juggernaut Oakland Athletics? What are you talking about?
I know. There's a competition right now between the Oakland A's being world beaters. There was some guy, Shohei Ohtani, that had a big game last night. Alek Manoah on the opposite end of the spectrum. That has also entered the fray as a conversation piece. It's just there's a lot of different directions that we could go in today.
Yeah, there's a lot of Blue Jays fans who are not too happy with you and I. And I want to get out in front of this even farther than I got out in front of it last time.
Last season,
I already apologized. I already apologized. I'm going to take a couple years away from selecting Blue Jays players for any
This is
accolades.
your fault.
This is not my fault.
Yeah.
This is not my. You started it. You started.
No, you technically started it.
You said his name, and then I was like,
yeah,
dude,
but
that's where I'm going to.
Everyone that you pick for the Cy Young ends up having the worst year of their personal life, never mind just their career. This is only my first year, and it just so happened that I picked the same guy as you.
No, you definitely got your pick in first.
Well, now you're leading us into the direction of this being the lead story, and it's not.
Well, we don't have to make it. I don't know how Shohei Ohtani's not the lead story.
I was just going around this morning, collecting little snippets, all the tungsten stuff, in terms of historically, where does this stack up? So Shohei Ohtani, what is it, 6 1/3?
Yep,
6 1/3.
6 1/3, 10 punch outs, and then he goes 3 for 3 with 2 bombs and a single. And so here's just some of the things I saw. Shohei Ohtani now has a 3.8 F-WAR as a batter, matching his batting WAR total from his 2022 campaign in exactly half a season, 81 games played. Shohei Ohtani is hitting 407 in the games that he's pitched in this year. Shohei Ohtani is currently on pace for 12.2 B-WAR, which would be the most valuable season since 1985. And I thought we would have gone back way further. I guess this is all because Shohei doesn't play a position on the days that he doesn't pitch. If he just stood out in right field, he would break the WAR record, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I don't understand how it doesn't. I don't understand how what he's doing on the mound doesn't. I get those two things.
You've been talking about WAR for about 8 years, and you still yet to make a credible point. Jay, why if Shohei stands out in right field and has league average defense, is that enough to just break the wins above replacement single season record?
You're saying as opposed to DHing?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if he had league average defense in the outfield, then yes. That would be all the difference in the world. I mean, that would probably. I don't know what it would be. It would be probably an additional 2 wins a season if he could just stand out there. He's on top of what he's doing right now.
Well, to put it like this, right now, Shohei Ohtani, according to Defensive WAR, is the 9th worst defender in baseball.
That's why we can't. You just can't have. My whole point about the WAR discrepancy is: do you mean to tell me that somebody who just stands out in right field is more valuable than a guy who starts the baseball game on the mound?
Well, no, because we're just talking about him as a DH.
I know, but you're saying, well, why can't we just plug him into right field and have him be an average defender and see what that looks like? And my argument to that is, buddy, we are actually watching something far more valuable unfold. Instead, because he's just not standing out in right field, and that's what the algorithm favors, is someone who does that, as opposed to doing what he's doing on the mound, is
but you're
ludicrous.
not comparing it to his pitching WAR. You're comparing it to his offensive WAR as a DH.
I understand. My point is that, once again, what any defender would be doing on average, standing out there the 4 days in between, what Shohei Ohtani does on the mound is just not as valuable. And so we get caught up in the algorithm favoring that comparison as opposed to stepping back and going, let's be honest with ourselves. If the dude's going to do that on the mound and we've got just some average run-of-the-mill defender out there, how do we then value what that guy's doing over what Shohei Ohtani's doing? How do we do that? And you get pitcher X on the mound.
It is a pitcher. The 1985 season.
Yeah, it's Doc,
13.3 B WAR, Doc Gooden in 1985. And then if you want just the American League, you have to go all the way back to Yaz, Carl Yastrzemski, the year that he hit the Triple Crown in 1967.
But don't you got to say, like, if Shohei does this for the entire year, I don't give a fuck what WAR says. It's the best season ever. It has to be.
Yeah.
But the WAR's not going to say it is. And that's Dallas's point, which I agree with. And you can go into the numbers of why that works. And they probably make sense in some ways because, but what is WAR really?
Yeah. When you just look beyond certain things, when you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And the response is, yeah, well, not accounting for that. Let's just go here. And it's like, oh, let's just overlook this. No. So Jay, my question about that would be, who is the most average right fielder in baseball last year?
Me.
Would you take
right? Sorry, keep going.
And would you take Shohei Ohtani's performances on the mound over what that individual brought to you defensively during his games played? Say it's an everyday guy who stands out there for 130 games.
So
140 games.
So I'm confused because what I'm understanding the theoretical Ohtani debate to be is if he wasn't, he's still making 30 starts a year in this conversation. What he's doing in between those starts is playing right or left field at a league average rate instead of DHing, which is what he does between starts now. This is not to say that he could, I don't think he could continue to be the level of starting pitcher that he is if he had to play right field instead of DH in between those games. I think that's probably natural, right? Just given basic fatigue of playing the outfield in between the starts, right?
It would be incredible to see.
Right. But what I'm saying is that in this hypothetical conversation, he's still making the 30 starts and he's playing right field. And that's not impacting the quality of the innings pitched that we're getting from him during those 30 starts. Maybe that's unrealistic, but that's
then he breaks.
Right.
Then he breaks.
Correct. And that's what Jared was. I thought that's what Jared was asking me. And that's what I'm saying, that he would break the wins above replacement mark if that's the actual season that we're talking about. That's.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought Jared was asking, is that what is that what you meant, Jared?
I'm saying the single season wins above replacement record, whatever that is. Do we know what that is, Jay? It's not the Doc Gooden year, is it?
No, it's 20. But we're talking about
Who
seasons.
the fuck did that?
Well, remember, it's a counting stat, right? So you have to remember that if a guy is going to throw 600 innings, which is what they did in the late 1800s, right? Then your WAR, if you're the best at it, is going to be very high. So Tim O'Keefe, congratulations. 20.2 wins above replacement in 1883. That was 619 innings pitched. Strictly speaking, the top 5 seasons ever are all just dudes who threw 600 innings. Okay, so at some point, if we want to have this conversation,
super valuable in fairness.
No, it is, but
especially compared to the average league player at that time, you got a guy going 600 innings, and the other schmucks are like, all I got is 2 in me, dude. I got 230, maybe. I don't know. Sorry, can I still play?
The real conversation, if we want to have it, is probably something with a year cutoff. If post Babe Ruth on or something like that, because
since they started playing real baseball.
Yeah, because Babe Ruth is I know it's cliche to compare Babe Ruth to Shohei Ohtani, but in this sense, I don't think it totally is, because what we're talking about with Ohtani is ace level pitching and MVP caliber hitting, and that should break wins above replacement, or it should be the greatest season of all time. And I'm not sure I totally disagree, But we also have to remember that when Babe Ruth was putting up 14 wins above replacement, which he did in 1923, he was like out homering entire other organizations,
leagues.
right? So
leagues.
He was killing it.
Yeah, so like we can say that's fake bullshit baseball, but in terms of like what's counted, and Babe Ruth is counted for sure, that is in some ways just as mind-blowing if we were to see that today. If we were to see a dude step up, and I don't know what the team with the fewest amount of home runs is going to be this year, but let's say it's 100 or something like that, right? Yeah, the Guardians will be that team for sure. Let's say it's 100. If a guy stepped up and hit 100 fucking homers this year, you don't think we'd be like, wow, that should probably break the wins above replacement mark too, you know, like, or 125 homers, beat a few teams in the like. I don't know.
That's why the innings thing. That's why the innings thing is hilarious.
We're underestimating like baseball history. Like Shohei is unprecedented, and we've talked about that. And I can't heap any more praise, but I don't want to underestimate baseball history, which has been going on for like 140 years, by saying that he should be unprecedented in wins above replacement, because we've seen some wild ass shit.
Look up one of O'Keefe's rotation mates. And see how many innings.
Totally.
What were the least amount of innings by a guy in his rotation?
All right. So his 18.
Let's have some fun.
Yeah. So his 1883 team, in which he made 68 starts, all of which were complete games.
Complete games. Fuck yeah.
619 innings.
CJ shut base.
By the way, only 5 of the 68 were shutouts. I'm not sure totally what to make of that. So
what was his ERA?
So his ERA 2.41. Okay.
Wow.
This is I'm glad Dallas brought this up, because here's what the rest of his rotation mates did. It was one dude, and his name was Jack Lynch. It was just the two of them. Those were the only pitchers on the fucking team. Tim Keefe made 68 starts. Jack Lynch made 29 starts, and he had a 4.09 ERA and only had 255 innings pitched. So he's basically like an opener, you know?
He's the mop-up guy.
Yeah. So I guess, if the only other pitcher on your team threw fewer than half as many innings and had an ERA a run and a half higher, then man, I guess you get 20 wins above replacement, because you won. Yeah, that's how that literally won all of those games.
That is why WAR is just so fucked up. Because could you imagine a starter in anybody's rotation? Let's give pitcher X 200 innings, and that's the high water mark for his rotation. A guy with like 3 times as fewer innings who just gets his ass kicked. And that's who you got bolstering you. Like that guy doesn't even exist today. And this is what we're dealing with. This is the kind of
Old Haas Radborn, who's more well known as a Twitter like avatar basically than he is a real life MLB pitcher, has posted a better season by wins above replacement than anybody on this podcast has watched in their lifetimes. It's just built into the numbers, right? That was another 632 and a third innings pitched season. It's fun.
How do you?
But by all means, let's. That's the standard. That's 100% the standard. No flaws.
But that's
even if you're out there throwing like 70 miles an hour, I still think that it's wildly impressive to throw 600 something innings if you're not like max effort throwing fastballs. Still hurts.
Tim Keefe never again eclipsed the 600 inning mark. That's the problem with throwing 600 innings. You really only do it once or twice.
Some say it was his final start in which he threw 1,962 pitches, but just wasn't quite able to bounce back.
Listen, no, Tim still had plenty of peak left. He averaged 37 wins a season from 1883 to 1888. So he knew how to win.
Yeah. Good for him. I heard you guys talking about the like if we'll ever see a 300 game winner again, which I don't think we will. And then Denny McClain being the last to win 30 in a season, we'll never see that.
No chance.
No. There's just so many records.
I always just go back to the Ubaldo. like the Ubaldo first half. Well, he was fucking like 18 and whatever, right? Like it was something stupid, wasn't? I mean, he was like 14 and something.
But the Rockies?
Yeah,
I think he was.
You know,
only,
this guy's
I think it
gonna
was
win.
only like 12-1. I want to say. I know what you're talking about. Hold on, I'm pulling up.
Was that 2010? Is that the year that he threw the no hitter?
Yeah, Yeah, 2010. He finished 19-8. The first half he was it was 15-1 with a 2.2 ERA.
yeah.
In the
So
first
you're
half?
thinking
Yep,
in the first half.
15-1. I mean, that's obviously more than half the games, but yes, pre All-Star break, he was 15-1 with a 2.2 and 18 starts. After
And I
the break,
remember
he
thinking,
went
this dude's gonna
4-7.
Yeah, didn't even
Yeah,
win
4-7 with a 3.8. I know we probably want to move on from the war thing, but like, I actually have a totally different take than like that. The fact that it's all these 600 guys makes it fake as shit. Like, to me, when you see a Dwight Gooden in 85, or like I'm scrolling down the next, like Roger Clemens in 97, Barry Bonds in 2001, when you see these guys pop up on the list, to me, it just makes it more eye-popping, because then I see Roger Clemens threw 264 innings that season. And I see that, like, Doc Gooden threw 276 and 2/3. And I'm like, holy shit, like, so this is as valuable as the 559 inning season that Jim Devlin contributed in 1877. You know what I mean? And like,
and we're light years. We are light years beyond what the game is right now, too, Jay. Hey, think about that. Like, like the only thing that truly separates our game as it sits today from some of those the 85, the 97, what is the pitch timer, right? And the size of the bags. And we can get into the 3-batter minimum, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm saying is, it's not like there's been another out added to the mandatory out limit. There's not crazy things happening like happened in the game prior to that. So the game looks as similar as it ever has between our era now and some of those later eras. So to see a Roger Clemens or a Doc pop up, that's where you have to give, in my opinion, respect to those guys, to the Docs, to the Rockets, to the Berries, because in that day and age, as we just laid out, the discrepancy in innings pitched and just how good one player was compared to their teammates, these dudes, those are all-time performances.
dude,
literally all time.
Dude, you're telling me that Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and Dwight Gooden were as good as the only pitcher on the team right back in the day? Like, the dude who threw all of the innings, that's how good Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and Dwight Gooden were. Like, that to me is like, holy shit. Like, that makes it more impressive. I don't know. Like, it's a fundamentally different game now, especially with the pitching side. But I don't know. To me, seeing all these black and white pictures at the top of the leaderboard, it doesn't diminish it. I just have to like put it into context, like you would any other sport.
But imagine how you would have to explain that. Imagine explaining that to an old school manager, where you're like, all right, now listen up here. I know you've got your pitcher, and it's just understood that when you say your pitcher, that everybody in the league has that one dude, like you said, accounting for the majority of the work, right? So when you say to him, hey, you're one pitcher? What if I told you I got a batsman? That's right. I got a batsman who's worth maybe more than your pitcher.
Yeah.
He's going, what? Well, who pitches? Well, what else does he do? Like, no, that's the crazy thing, is he's just that good at his batsman skills that he's that much better. Like, the manager would be baffled. He's like, I need to see this player you're talking about.
Did you see that Shohei added 0.8 WAR yesterday?
In a game.
In a game.
Like, that's literally almost single-handedly. Like, is it 1.0 if he hits the 2 homers and throws a shutout?
Maybe CG? Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
no
probably.
walks, yeah. Yeah.
Is that true? 0.8? That's good. I can do something with that.
That's more than the Rockies have this year. Offensively.
That's funny.
They're at a negative.
Yikes. Well,
Greatest
That's
game,
absurd.
greatest game of all time. I'm saying it
people
right
say it.
now. I'm saying it right now, and I don't have to look up shit. You don't have to.
And you know what, baseball fans? You could be winning every inning with the hottest offers in the game. DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered from the top of the first to the bottom of the ninth all season long. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can take a shot at bigger payouts with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Open the DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, and place your parlay by combining 3 or more bets from the same game. Every additional leg gets you goddamn hiccups, gets you an extra boost up to 100%. Step up to the plate now with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app and sign up with the promo code Jared, Jared. New customers can bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code Jared. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance, opt-in, and 10-plus leg requirement for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Oh, Dallas, did you get it all out of your system? You have any other remarks that you'd like to make about Shohei's performance last night?
Shohei Ohtani! Sugoi!
I do not. I feel like that was vetted.
That was a nice release for you.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It just, I'm sure there's been a notice, and I've actually received tweets about this, like, "Oh man, you don't talk about Shohei, blah blah blah." And
who the fuck says that? All we do is talk about Shohei.
I have peeled it back, and
no, we as a whole have not. Dallas, you don't talk about the A's enough on the podcast. Like, we fucking talk about the A's all the time too.
Well, trust me, I didn't want to defend it to the point where I was going to get angry.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the problem. Like, I feel so passionately about what he has done to the game of baseball and the impact on the game of baseball that he's had, that I think at times it clouds my ability and prevents me from hearing other people's thoughts. And I'm okay admitting that. I am man enough to admit that. It just doesn't put me in a great headspace when I have to hear people go, "Yeah, but he doesn't play a position, and so I'm not." And right there, I go, and I don't think
someone on Twitter made the worst
oxygen
comparison ever. Someone on Twitter said that Shohei Ohtani was just the Ronda Rousey of Major League Baseball because he was first, so like the competition wasn't good. I was like, I don't think you know what you're saying, because he's not fighting other two-way players in a cage. That's not what that means.
Ronda was an absolute beast, and then was going to rip a lot of people's arm off in the promotion at that point in time, just because of where her skill set was.
I think
where her
the point was more just like when Ronda came in, like, women's MMA wasn't at the point where it's at today, so she was kind of like beating up more inexperienced women MMA fighters, whatever. But like Shohei is
till Holly Holm kicked her head into the fucking fifth row.
Like Shohei is punching out 10 against some of the best hitters that ever lived, and he's hitting bombs off of some of the best pitchers who ever lived. Like, it doesn't matter that he's the first. He is also it's just, I guess, a coincidence that he's also the best too.
Baseball is being thrown harder than they've ever been thrown in the game of baseball, and he's hitting them as far, if not farther, than they've ever been fucking hit.
And he's contributing to them being thrown harder than they ever have been.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's just, so I start getting a little bubbly. Back of the neck starts to get a little warm when we start talking about Shohei, and I got to entertain fuck boys.
I feel that.
It was good. It was good.
Do we want to Do we want to address the Alek Manoah line?
Dude.
His first start, rookie ball, 2 2/3 innings, 11 earned runs, 10 hits, 2 homers, 3 strikeouts, and 2 walks. My question to you, Dallas, is the manager out of line for letting him get his teeth kicked in like that?
No,
like if you're the manager down there, this is not like we need to get your innings in, we need to get your pitches up. This is we need to get your confidence back. So if you're setting him out there to give up fucking 11 earned, do you know how much time it probably takes to give up 11 earned runs? Like you're sitting in the dugout. 11?
Not long.
That takes
Not
time.
long.
10 hits.
Not long.
Dallas,
Jared,
10 hits. That takes time. That takes time.
It does not.
You
it
can
does not.
10 hits.
Jared, listen. I know what it looks like. All right. But if we're going to talk about this, we got to look at it from all perspectives, all angles here. If you remember a few weeks ago when we started talking about him going down, I talked about how potentially what should be the case is your best coaches or some of your best instructors, they should probably be at your spring training facility, at your complex. Why? Because you have the crop of your future coming through there, right? Those are the seeds that you're planting, going to be watering, going to be growing into big leaguers. So you would like to have some important hands on those individuals. If things are struggles for other guys throughout your organization and enter Alek Manoah, they need to take a step back, and it's a combination of performance. It's a combination of actual anatomy of your performance, meaning the stuff, the pitch profiles. Those numbers are probably off. So I talked about being able to go to a facility where you have resources and technology at your disposal to utilize really every time you throw a ball. So when they're playing catch, these things are measured. When he gets on the mound and throws a bullpen, these things are measured. When he faces hitters, these things are measured. All because he's in a controlled environment back at the complex. Again, hopefully with some of your better instructors or folks that can connect with this individual. That way, the progress is made. And you're not spinning your wheels, like I said, in some AA ballpark without all of those things I just mentioned, prohibiting you from taking the necessary steps to get better. So when you go down, to your point, this is about an adjustment for confidence. That comes later, though. What we need to iron out are the issues that we've been having. And that leads us to the pitch profile. If we're going to get back to attacking in a certain spot, and you need to see what it looks like against game competition in game speed, well, here's your fastball up top. When you go down to the Fire League, those kids love to ambush. They want nothing more than to turn a Cy Young hopeful's 95-mile-an-hour fastball all the way the fuck around so they can make 3 left turns and tell their boys and post it on Insta who they just took deep tonight. So they are itching. There's literally a fight at the fucking bat rack with these kids to come up there and face guys like Alek Manoah. So now you've got a guy in Manoah who's working on certain things and is not going to be deviating from their plan just to go get outs, right? That's why we're all the way back in rookie ball, to try to remove that gene of competition, which is really tough to do because you're asking me to go out there as a big leaguer and not worry about getting my ass kicked against these kids. That's fucking tough. Yeah, well, you know what else is tough? Is giving up this line in the big leagues or never having the opportunity to give up that line in the big leagues ever again. So keep your head down and duck, and let's get an L screen out here if we need to. But goddamn, we're going to continue to work on these things, and this is the best place for that to happen. So initially, you're like, holy hell, things are not going well. And yeah, there's no denying that a 10-hit, 11-run line is not getting your ass kicked. That's tough. That's a tough one to take. But it's all in the name of making progress. And so that's where my mind went initially, understanding that these are just things that you go through in an effort to try to make yourself better. But when you zoom out, you're like, hey, you know what? If you're just brushing past it, like, damn, that did not look good. So there's just layers to it.
What I'm curious about is that he got sent down there 3 weeks ago. It was the 6th, so it's been 3 weeks and he hasn't pitched in a game in 3 weeks. Like, is that worrisome? Is it an injury? Like, what do you think? What took so long? What is going on?
My guess is, and it may be an educated guess, it may not be an educated guess. My guess is there needed to be a certain base level of ability to perform. And whether that's having his arm in shape, whether that's being able to bounce back in between pitches, whatever the case may be. But they've got to get to a point where he can achieve the work they're asking him to do. And I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's, with the arm and being in position mechanically. And they're like, look, we can't run you out there until you can repeat these things more times than not. And we don't know that we're there yet. So we don't want to get you out into a game asking you to maybe make a mechanical adjustment that you're not confident in being able to duplicate, especially if it becomes nut cutting time out there. You got a guy on second and third, nobody out, and now you want to get back to just making pitches when we still want you to stay within these adjustments, to still execute these movements. So there's a lot of different reasons why he might not be in the game up until this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting sent down there in the first place probably felt like rock bottom, but then knowing the second that line hits the internet, that's got to be a completely different rock bottom type feeling for him.
Well, I would hope not, and I would like to think that there's people around him that, and I would like to think he understands. Like, bro, fuck the internet. I don't.
But
give
he's
a
not.
shit
I can tell you right now, he has not checked social media since he got sent down.
Yeah, like that's not a like. Social media, it's it's fun, it's it's great, it's good time, but like this guy's got bigger fish to fry. He's got other things that he's worried about, and so I would not think that line hitting the internet would do anything for him. Like, I think he'd be able to wear that one. Nope, that's water off a duck's ass, man.
Well, I mean, you got to kind of, because at this point, and I don't think anyone really has a good straight answer of like what is wrong with Alek Manoah for him to go from like a legitimate Cy Young contender to giving up 11 runs in rookie ball. Like, it could just be like a mental type yips type thing.
And that's why I brought up, it could be a physical conditioning thing. It could be a mechanical thing. You don't know. That's why they bring him back to square one, and we can check all these boxes. And from there, we can go. Remember, this is the same organization that took Doc Holliday back to A-ball, back to rookie ball, and said, let's rethink this. Let's do this over. Let's figure some shit out here.
Jay, hey, what was your reaction when you saw that line from Alek Manoah?
My initial reaction, listen, I love to pile on as much as the next guy. Made a podcasting career of piling on in some cases, but I don't like, I was like, oh, I'm going to look up how many runs he's given up, including this stretch in his MLB. And then I just kind of stopped myself and I was like, this is like different than Hosmer being shitty or like, dunking on Miggy at the end of his Hall of Fame career because he's, he shouldn't be playing anymore or something like that. This is like a little sad to me, baseball wise. And my ultimate reaction was, I just hope he kind of figures this out. And not a lot more. I don't know enough about pitching or pitching mindset to have much more sentiment on it than that. And then, secondarily, what he means to the Blue Jays' future, but that's kind of down the line, I think, and hopefully, like, I almost wonder if the Roy Halladay thing does him a little bit of a disservice in this conversation too, because like it is the natural comparison to make, obviously because they play for the same team and it's kind of like a complete restart from the majors all the way down to the lowest levels of the minors. But Roy was obviously a very unique pitcher in lots of ways that Dallas could speak to more than I could. But like, it's more likely that would fail and that he would not make it back and turn into a Hall of Fame pitcher than it is that it succeeded, right? That's almost a testament to Roy and good fortune and hard work and all that sort of stuff. And like for Manoah to see like, it's the holiday thing. Like, I almost wonder if it's like, oh man, like, fuck, like, I just wonder how that impacts him too, because that's a lot of additional pressure to put on a guy who's already facing a battle, I guess.
So I'll say this, and this is probably as far as I'll go with this. We just came from Toronto. And I know a lot of guys over there. And I know a lot of, I know folks on the staff, I know folks in the front office there. And I get to sit down and talk next to just Hall of Fame person, Buck Martinez, which is fucking fabulous. So there is a layer of, man, you hope he doesn't look at that example that is inevitably going to be, he's going to get beaten over the head with that from every corner, like in the clubhouse, in the training staff, fan base, like everybody's going to have said that in one way or another, drawn that comparison in one way or another. So I think much like you try to filter out the comparisons of you to another player and their production and performance in that regard, your production and performance in this arena specifically is something that I would like to see him or hope he would filter out, because you can't compare yourself to a guy like Roy Halladay because there's probably some different issues that are being addressed. And so it's not all just about the baseball that's being played. There's a lot of different things that go on when you take somebody back to that level and try to rebuild essentially their DNA, but ultimately their confidence, Jared, which is why I said you're not off on that, but confidence is almost like last on the totem pole. That's what you want them to graduate this this event with is, all right, now you got your confidence pinned back, get back up there and shove it up somebody's ass.
Well, we'll be watching. To Jay Hay's point, it is sad because it all, like, now that we're coming up on All-Star Week, and I'm thinking back to last year's All-Star Game, I think the only memory that I have of All-Star Game last year was Alek Manoah being mic'd up and taking what pitches he should throw from the broadcast booth. Like, that was the coolest part of the All-Star Game.
Yes.
So to go from that, where you're so good that you're pitching in the All-Star Game and you're so confident in your stuff that you are throwing the pitches that the broadcasters are telling you to throw, to now being in rookie ball, getting your tits lit, it's crazy to me. I mean, we like we said earlier in the show, me and Dallas picked the fucking guy to win the Cy Young Award this year. This year. Like, that's how quickly it fell apart. But yeah, I mean, it's not like he's on the wrong side of 30. If he doesn't figure it out this year, that doesn't mean that he'll never figure it out. So yeah,
I just want his personality back in the game. You know, I enjoy the fieriness. I enjoy the amount of fuck you he takes the mound with. Like, that excites me. I like that. I enjoy that. And as that matures, like, it's weird to think, like, I think I had this hope that he would almost become like a CC type of teammate, Sabathia type of, you know, like, let's fucking go. I will stand up there. I will take the bullets. I will be that dude. I will let my physical presence do the talking. I will let my performance do the talking. I'll let it all do the talking.
All right, we got to take a break from the podcast for a word from our sponsor, Game Time. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. I got a couple buddies in town for the 4th of July, and we're thinking about going to the Red Sox game tonight. Game starts in like 5 hours, but that's the best part about Game Time is you don't have to decide months, weeks, days in advance. You can decide to go to the game the day of, and Game Time has you set. So forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. Get images of your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds. 2 taps and you're set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone so you never have to dig through your email. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code JARED for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code JARED for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
The Oakland A's did some talking last night, Dallas.
Smacking bitches. That's right.
Dude, is it
Right.
really fair to gloat about
like
a
that?
victory over a beat
Mhm.
down New York Yankees
Yes.
The
team?
juggernaut
Like, is that
is
really what we
the
want?
swinging A's.
Just like kind of like a plucky, doing your best sort of New York Yankees post George Steinbrenner, doing the best that we can with what we have sort of team.
I mean, Dallas doesn't get to take very many W's. Like, he is a natural born loser that played for a loser franchise who now broadcasts for a loser franchise. That's last
podcast
night was
for a
win.
winning podcast, though.
Yeah. Podcast for a winning
It's an
podcast,
organization
that's
that's
for sure.
having a down season. Okay. That's how I like to frame it.
Mm-hmm.
Having a down season.
year, but not a down night, Dallas. How is that experience of taking it to the Bronx Bombers and their ferocious offense?
Well, I don't know that I would say taking it to the Bronx Bombers. It was a tightly contested affair, Jared.
Sure.
But it's nice that the Oakland A's were on the plus side of this tightly contested affair. Not quite the offensive outburst from either side that you might anticipate when you look at lineups like this. Record scratch. Because I asked a very important person in the New York Yankees organization when the last time they thought the New York Yankees in the month of June were running out 3 hitters in the lineup who were hitting under 200. A third of their lineup hitting under 200. Like and they couldn't even offer an answer. They couldn't even offer an answer.
Who is that? Donaldson, fucking.
It's Donaldson, fucking Stanton, and Cabrera, I think.
Oswaldo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that team stinks.
Is that right? That's right.
I don't know how they have a winning record. They fucking stink.
It was nice to see the Josh Donaldson revenge game, though, coming back to Oakland, hitting a bomb when everyone's saying, oh, he's getting released. He's a piece of shit. Psych. He's back. Hits a bomb against his old team. And I got a question for Yankees fans because they do hate on Donaldson. Everyone says he's getting released before he gets released. Who do you want other than him? Like, who's going to replace him that's going to really make the Yankees better?
Dude, that was my reaction too, because we talked about it at the end of the pod on Monday, but like you have to have depth. Like, yeah, wanting to have better than Josh Donaldson is an admirable goal, I think. But who is that? Like that to me, this to me,
you guys hate him too. That's what it's going to be.
Right. This to me, this feels like an off-season issue that like past off-season. I don't think it's
clearly.
No, but I don't okay, maybe it is clear, but this is like the third straight season, I feel like, where we were sold some level of bill of goods on Josh Donaldson being like a viable and at times even high-end third baseman for the Yankees. And I just think.
But if you bought that, I got
Brian Cashman bought it. They paid $50 million for the right to employ Josh Donaldson. Was it what?
I'm saying if you as a baseball fan.
No, I didn't buy it.
Look, I know we're very good friends with JD. Very good friends with JD. And I was wearing him out yesterday.
You're good friends with him. He doesn't know who I am.
No. Fair.
Yeah.
But he
did speak in spring training one time.
That
was when he was with the Blue Jays. Special moment. Go ahead.
He was not going to be the answer to that. And I think that's why there was, I don't want to call it an uproar, but that's why there might have been some folks who were like looking at the deal going, yo, cash money. Are you sure? Are we sure? Is this what? Okay. All right. Just saying, maybe the injuries, maybe the wrong side of 35. Like, is there any thought to, okay, guess not. And now here's where you're at. He's one of the guys in the lineup hitting under 200, but seems to be the spark plug. Seems to be the where it's coming from.
When you asked about the sub 200 batting average thing, or when you were talking about it, I pulled up their roster, and I'm just looking at Aaron Judge's OPS relative to every other like qualified batter on the team. I'm wondering if we're going to get to a point where the gap between the first and second best hitter on this team is like historically significant statistically. Like, because it's
like our man O'Keefe.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. But Judge's OPS is 1.078. And the next closest guy who's gotten any number of plate appearances is Anthony Rizzo at 796. Like we're almost at 300 points right now. I don't know. Question for another day, maybe, but that does speak to their problem too.
So you were left unimpressed, Dallas, is what you're saying.
I was outside of the JD Homer, which I fully expected.
Yeah,
left unimpressed. Yeah, I don't have Josh Donaldson ever coming to the Coliseum and not hitting a homer and not averting his eyes somewhere near the upper deck of behind home plate.
Just looking for Billy Bean somewhere.
I mean, you said it.
Where you at, Billy boy? Show yourself.
Just to circle back on that question though that I asked myself, it's Barry Bonds. it's Barry Bonds, like most of these questions are. The gap between Rich Aurelia put up a 941 OPS in 2001, and he was 438 points behind Barry Bonds.
Jesus Christ.
That's bananas. Imagine having are you kidding me?
941 and 1.379. And it was the same. And it was the same fucking deal in 2002. It was just Jeff Kent and Barry Bonds.
Jeff Kent?
Yeah. 933 and 1.381. All right, sorry.
That is fucking ridiculous. Oh my God.
Barry's good at baseball. Who's did you already reveal who the next up on the Baines meter would be? Like who's
I hinted at it with a tweet, but I'm sure lots of people who listen don't follow me on Twitter. So yeah, he's do you want me to
at J Hey Kid?
Do you want me to share who the next guy we're looking at is?
Well, give me the hint.
Huge legitimate friend of the podcast. More you guys, of course, but friend of the podcast.
Don't give it away.
NL outfielder.
Christian Yelich.
Oh.
So okay. I want to float this. Wouldn't be terrible to maybe line up him passing the Baines line with coming on the pod to discuss it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? We could hand out the first ever
live
Baines Meter Award. Live.
I think that would be very cool. I'm sure he's kind of been flirting with the mark for a week or two now. So I'm sure I can feel he's getting a little bit tight and nervers.
Yeah. He's pressing.
Getting to 38.8, which Joey so aptly noted is kind of like a very famous number now.
Yes.
So check the schedule. Like get your tickets. Get your tickets at home. He's going to want to do this at home, naturally.
You would think. Let's see exactly. I didn't check prior to today where he's at. Let's see where he's at entering play on Wednesday as we record. He is at 38.3. So he is a half a win behind. That is a good day's work. That could happen. Yeah. More likely than not, we're looking at next week with our podcast schedule. But that would be special. And I'm very excited for him mostly. Yeah.
That would be special. I'm not going to hit the breaking news sound, but the Red Sox did just sign Dinelson Lamet to a minor league contract. And it's not 2020 Dinelson Lamet, unfortunately.
We're back.
We are back.
Yeah, Red Sox.
Red Sox just got their fucking dicks blown off by the Marlins last night.
Dude, speaking of being fucking back, did you guys see Jazz?
Yeah, I came back last night. Yeah.
Jazz Chisholm. And hey, how did Al Contra do last night?
Well, he did against the Red Sox. We suck.
Well, so
Is he
that's
back?
two guys.
Sandy's back.
That's two guys who are back on a
The
team.
pitch efficiency was something else. Like he had like a couple innings where he threw like 5 pitches.
Love that.
Sounds like he's back. Sounds like the Marlins are feeling good right now, man.
Yeah,
I was very pleasantly surprised to see Jazz Chisholm come up on my screen like, oh fuck. That came out of nowhere.
You didn't know he was coming back last night?
I had no idea.
They posted
Hit a double.
the Marlins posted like a social video of him walking up the dugout steps being like, I'm back. And I was like, oh shit, I did not realize that.
Marlins do right. Just wait till Cueto. Cueto.
Cueto, dude.
Cueto's coming back soon too.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want the Marlins to go too far under the radar, man. They might be one of my new favorite teams.
I mean, do you like the color scheme or no?
The Marlins?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind the color. I mean, their throwback jerseys are next fucking level. I mean, everyone can agree with that.
The teal?
The teal,
Hmm.
that's a different planet. That's probably the best uniform in the league.
They've won 3 straight. They're 46 and 34. They're 46 and 34. So, and for everyone being like, oh yeah, blah, 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 like what the division, they would be in 3rd place in the AL East, the best division in baseball, in a playoff spot. I mean, they're probably not going to catch the Braves, but they've got to be the top wild card spot in the NL, no? Yeah,
Who?
the Marlins.
Oh.
Yeah, respect the Marlins.
Are they?
Yeah.
The top spot?
Oh, yeah.
Where are the Giants at in that? They
Right
gotta be up
behind
there,
them.
right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I think they're a half
Because
game back.
say it with me now. The Arizona Diamondbacks
Are in first place.
looking to take the NL West down.
Dallas, do you have the balls to say that the D-backs are going to win the NL West this year?
I don't.
You never have the balls anymore. When's the last time you had the balls?
I don't. When you asked me a question that wasn't just completely like, I don't know, not.
I'm
leading
pretty
me-
sure I asked you if you had the balls to say that the Texas Rangers were going to win the AL West, and you said no. So that's
No, I think you were just. I think you were just offering rides off of one wagon and onto another. I don't know if there was a question of testicular fortitude.
the Astros are in 3rd place, buddy.
I know.
So you
I'm
look
well
like
aware.
a fucking asshole for that one. You took the hop off to the Rays, which you look smart for that. You look like an asshole for not taking the Rangers. You look like an asshole for not taking the Reds to win the Central. And I just offered you the D-backs and you said no. So you just huge asshole year for Dallas.
I'm sticking to my decision.
Yeah, we know.
Sticking to the
You're a
original
pussy.
choice.
We know. Does anyone else
The
wanna
the
take me up?
Padres? You're just sticking with
Is
the
it-
Padres?
What in the NL West?
That was
that
that
who
your
you picked?
original choice?
No, it was Dodgers.
I don't know. Was it?
Yes.
Jake, look that up. I don't know, dude.
That's good. I
Yeah,
hope
because-
so, because that would have been, you just left the fucking a really good trade on the table there if you picked the Padres over the fucking Diamondbacks.
Does anyone else want to jump on the D-backs while I have you give you the
I mean,
opportunity?
I did select the Padres. So if
God.
the Diamondbacks are
Oh God!
the
So are you gonna walk it back?
well, the Diamondbacks are on the table. I mean,
I just told you the Diamondbacks are on the table.
Okay, oh, that's why I was, until Joey started wanting to have shit fact checked. Like I thought I was.
You know what? Too much,
kind of stayed on.
too much rambling. I accept.
Okay, Jay Hay's in on the D-backs. Jay Hay is buying on the D-backs.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Taking the deal. What did you leave? You left the Reds on the table. You considered it, right?
Yeah, I left the Reds on the table. Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, who cares about that? Like, I'm on the Cardinals, so I think I might just ride that right to the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Loser. Go.
Dallas, you gonna take these D-backs?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm going Snakes.
Okay.
I'm going Snakes. I'm in.
Whoa. Well,
I'm in.
I'm offering Dallas the Dodgers.
No, you can't do that.
I don't.
Do you have the
Oh,
balls?
are you, Joe?
Do you have the balls? Do you have the balls? Big Los Angeles Dodgers right now. They're in third place. You got the balls. Do it.
Man, Joe, you make a compelling argument. Just questioning my sack makes me think twice here. Because I want to feel like the Dodgers are going to do something, right? Right now, well, I mean, Urias is on the way back, right? He's going to make a start here soon. But as it sits today, it's Kershaw, Gonsolin, and Miller. He's thrown the ball well. He got lit last time around by the Astros, I think. But I just want to feel like the Dodgers are just not going to. I would hate to see the Dodgers be okay with squeaking in with a fucking wild card appearance.
This is the reset year. Then it's Ohtani time.
I can see. I will be curious to see what they do at the deadline, because I wouldn't be surprised if they really don't make a lot of moves. Because like you said, I think they still make the playoffs without doing shit, and I think they might just be happy with that, and they can honestly contend in the playoffs even with their roster now. They wouldn't be favorited, but looking at other teams in the NL,
it feels like maybe there's moves that they can make outside of a big splashy, like quote unquote obvious move, right?
Then I think they will do that,
because you think they'll make a big splashy?
No, I think they'll do the complementary type stuff that you're talking about.
Sure, I think maybe it's a bullpen shore up. I think maybe they've got a guy that can get them some bulk innings that they probably identify. I don't know, because there's no guarantee if they go get a guy like Giolito, right? There's no guarantee that they're able to tap into what they need from him. There's just no guarantee that those kind of things work. I mean, who knows? Anybody kicking the tires on Biebs? Like, I don't see the Dodgers making that big move. I could be way wrong.
Yeah, right now the Dodgers have the third best chance to win the World Series behind the Rays and the Braves, and this is like a very depleted Dodgers team, even with only 3.5 starters.
Also, if we're talking about them basically walking into the postseason, even if that's as a wild card team, the question then becomes, if you're talking about additions and higher profile additions, I mean, not the complimentary stuff, is this person going to play / pitch for us in a short postseason series? Because if the answer is no, then, and I think the answer might be no with Giolito, depending on how things went with him, then what is it worth giving up a premier prospect for the right to, like, Kershaw's pitching in that series, health permitting. Julio Urias is pitching in that series, health permitting. And frankly, I don't blame them if they want to roll the dice on Bobby Miller or Tony Gonsolin being available, healthy, and pitching well at that time. You know what I mean? So
because that right there, Jay, opens the window for those complementary moves that I was talking about that you agreed with, because now you've got the viable options to get you through, and I hate to say it this way in this day and age, but to get you through 4 or 5 maybe in the postseason, 4 or 5 innings, and then you've got bullpen guys that you really like the matchups.
And this team is not necessarily as well equipped to play that bullpen game as the Dodgers have in the past, but hopefully that's the idea with Kershaw and Urias, is that they are actually giving you 6 or 7 innings. But to me, Giolito's a much better fit for a team like the Reds or the Rangers, where like bulk quality innings, even if it's not like you're starting game one of us for the playoffs. Although I think Giolito probably would be on the stretch to start game one of the playoffs for the Reds right now if he was on the team. But I think he's a much better fit in a scenario like that.
That's what's crazy. Like, and see, so I would hate to see the Reds not do something that allows them to compete farther down the line in the postseason. I would much rather see the Reds do something that says, oh, wow, we've acknowledged, a potential early arrival with some of our guys. And just because we're maybe ahead of schedule doesn't mean, like, I think I'm torn in between wanting to see a team go for it when they're feeling like they can compete and maybe just a little ahead of schedule, as opposed to wanting to stay the course. We know we're not supposed to be here, kind of playing with house money. Let's just see where it plays out at the end of this. I would like to see there be a little aggression on the behalf of the Cincinnati Reds.
I think the most interesting thing that's going to happen at the deadline is to see what the price of some of these assets ends up being. Because if you look at the standings, there are a lot of teams that could look at this right now and say, we're kind of still in it. So you have to convince us to sell while we're still in a position to maybe make a postseason run here. So if you're, the Oakland A's, for example, or the Kansas City Royals, and there's probably a legitimate handful of teams that are sellers today. And then you have a bunch of teams that are on the fringe where it's like, yeah, I guess we could buy and try and make a run at it, or we could sell and be one of the teams that receive some phone calls here and kind of get maybe not double what the player is worth, but definitely more than what the player would be worth otherwise. So yeah, I mean, even the Red Sox are in a position like that. Like the Red Sox are what, 2-3 games out of a playoff spot, but they should 1000% sell. Like they've got so many veteran guys that teams are going to come calling for short money. Like the Red Sox are 3.5 games out of a playoff spot. You in normal years, you wouldn't look at a team like that and say that team's a seller. 3.5 out by the trade deadline.
So is this where teams, though? Is this where teams? Is this are we going to see a shift in the market?
Yeah,
where teams now feel like they can almost hold prospects at a higher regard because teams are going to be torn between wanting to pay and make that big splashy move where they've got to give up some of those prime prospects, or are they in a spot where they don't have to give up the prime guys, but they do need to make a move, and so now they're in a position where they might be overpaying because they feel like they've got to do something. They're staying away from the big move, which is an obvious pay or overpay, but now here, even meddling in the middle class, that comes with a higher price tag.
Yeah, teams are definitely going to be overpaying. Like you mentioned, Giolito, if he gets moved, that's going to be an overpay. Like there's going to be bullpen pieces you're going to have to overpay for because I'm thinking about as of right now.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like there are only so many sellers, and there's going to be an abundance of teams that either are in it or think that they're still in it. And there's only so many pieces to go around from the scarce amount of sellers.
Like,
but that makes you worried about a team like the Reds not actually making a big move like you want them to because they see the opportunity to sell.
No, there's no fucking way the Reds would sell.
Maybe not sell. Maybe not sell. Yeah, right. No, who are they going to trade?
No,
they're not going to sell. But not sell. But not.
Prime example. The Reds are the prime example of the team that's going to be like in a position to overpay for pieces because they're like, hey, listen, we're here. They have to. They're in first place. What the fuck? Imagine being in first place, being like, we're waving the white flag, man. Maybe next year.
They're not going to sell. They're not going to sell, but they could keep the same roster. That's likely.
So here's the thing. There was a Fox Sports graphic going around yesterday, and I'm sure other people have done it, about the payroll ranks of the division leaders right now, right? And everybody loves to get all boned up about that sort of thing, where it's like, oh, the small market teams, yada, yada, great for them. This is a great thing. But like one of the secondary implications of that leads to what we're talking about now, you would think, is that if we have a team like the Reds or the D-backs or some of these lower payroll teams leading their divisions, are they actually going to want to trade cost-controlled prospects for higher-priced veteran, either short-term roster solutions or outright rentals? Like that is the behavior generally of larger market teams that can withstand both the payroll and the prospect loss. Like I'm not convinced that the Reds are in a place financially or mentally where they want to trade even like that second tier of cost. I'm not talking about trading, obviously not De La Cruz or McLean or like Encarnacion Strand. Like I'm not talking about that caliber of player, but their next tier down. I'm not even convinced that them or the Diamondbacks are going to want to do that for a Giolito or a Stroman or a Jordan Montgomery or something like that.
because those two things go hand in hand, your prospects and your payroll, and one covers the other.
That's what I'm saying.
When you get rid of you get rid of the prospects, it's because you're confident that you will pay and identify people to be the stopgap or just replace the projection of those players. And that's but if you're not willing to do that and you're in first place and you're not a team who's going to spend, you inherently become a team who's not willing to move the prospects either.
Right. And Jared's saying, like, I think we're going to see people overspend because there are a lack of potential sellers, and even fewer of those sellers have difference-making pieces. What I'm saying is that if the same teams that are in first place right now stay in first place, I just wonder how active the trade market is going to be at all. Like, I'm not even sure we see overpays in that case if it's the D-backs and the Reds leading the division.
And this was your point that you made on Twitter, which I concur with wholeheartedly. This is precisely where expanded playoff comes into play and playing right into the hand of ownership. Turn it up. Remember when we had this conversation a few years ago about how this was going to play out and how this was going to affect the market come times like this? We told you this was how it was going to play out. We told you, just look at your screen right now. Turn the YouTube on and look at your screen right now. If Jared and Jay and Joey are all spending, for conversation's sake, $250 million on their roster, and I am spending 65, 85, and we're all playing in the same tournament at the end of the season, can you explain to me why I would want to spend as much as they do if I'm winning my division and I get to play in the tournament that they're playing in, that they're paying over $150 million more dollars than I am to play in? Why would I do that? That sounds like a bad business move, especially if I know that this is kind of how this is going to go across the board. If I don't have to spend, and we've got teams under 500 leading divisions, sounds like a pretty good business plan. Competition-wise, I don't know how strong that looks, but as far as making dollars make sense, sounds pretty good to that bottom line.
Well, we'll see. We still have, a month? It's August 2nd, 3rd? One of those days. Still got a few things on the MLB calendar before we get to the trade deadline. But if you're like me, and what you watch depends on what kind of mood you're in, that's why Max is my first pick for winning entertainment. Sometimes I'm craving comedies like Friends or South Park, and sometimes I'm totally into dramas like HBO's original Succession and House of the Dragon. I also love cooking shows like Chopped and Beat Bobby Flay. And don't get me started with movies like Lord of the Rings and Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I know Dallas loves that movie. How many times have you seen that movie now, Dallas?
What movie?
Exactly. Well, Max is the streaming destination and has the best of entertainment for whatever mood I'm in anytime. And plans start as little as $9.99 a month. Max, the one to watch, subscription required. Visit max.com today. Did you see that Cardinals fans, I know we mentioned the Cards, Cardinals fans bullied Adam Wainwright off of Twitter?
What?
He deleted his account.
Come on.
Yep.
No, he didn't.
He deleted his account. Yep, he did. Oh, yes, he did.
Was it because of the Team USA failures?
No, it's because the St. Louis Cardinals failures.
Wow. After what? Almost 2 decades with the team? Finally, that's a shame. Well, you know what? I don't think we should judge too much because Cardinals Twitter is typically such a healthy and
especially when you have
place that this is an outlier. I feel like,
especially when you have maniacs fueling their insanity. Jay, there's some people that give maniacs like that a platform. They want to let them quite literally call in and voice their displeasure with their championship franchise.
So you're drawing a direct line between the voicemails opening up for Cardinals fans and Adam Wainwright leaving Twitter.
I feel like one has led to the other.
I'd like to draw another line and say that I think we know the only man who can fix this situation, both internally with the Cardinals and externally with Adam Wainwright's social media stuff.
And that would be, I think Bob Guerin is who you're referring to? The guarantee?
Yeah,
Bob
it's the
Guarantee?
Bob. It's the Bob guarantee.
The Bob.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
Bob.
which he doesn't have Twitter, so that's
Bob G is
perfect
not
for
on
this
Twitter.
That's
job.
what I'm saying. Yep.
So, like, you're not going to bully that guy off Twitter. He ain't even on there, and that's what you need because these Cardinals fans are savages on Twitter. I remember last year when I said they weren't going to get Juan Soto at the trade deadline. I was getting roasted every day by Cardinals fans. They need to chill out, which is interesting because aren't Cardinals fans known for being like the most respectable fan base and they clap for everybody and never boo anybody? They're the best, like, wholehearted, good people, right? But not on Twitter for whatever reason. Rabid. Really? Did he actually say, did anyone confirm, or is just speculation that's why he deleted his Twitter?
Why else would he delete it?
That's it. Yeah. There's
Good
no
point.
other reason why that I can think of.
Dallas's internet is a little choppy, but I believe while you were right when you started talking, Joey, Dallas said that Bob Guerin is on his way to help.
He did say that. He did say that.
Yeah.
That's not what I said. I can't hear Joe.
That's
What do you
not.
mean?
I believe he just said that's what I said.
Damn. I mean, if anyone would know, it'd be Dallas.
That's Jake, did you ever book Bob Guerin?
Did you ever book?
Yeah, we should have him next week.
Okay.
Thank fucking God.
Are you gonna sit that one out, Dallas, because you fucking hate him so much? Are you gonna actually be here and ask him questions?
Oh no, I would absolutely be here. You would watch the relationship unfold that you've never.
Blossom.
You guys would be blown away. You'd be blown away.
We would be blown away if you were able to hang in there and actually interview him without saying something that would have him leave the interview room.
Yeah, something super rude.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be the case. I wanted to tell this story unless someone's talking and I don't know.
No one's talking about it.
How long is the story? Because I have 2 minutes before I have to. I actually have 1 minute before I have to leave.
Saw Victor Martinez in the broadcast booth in Toronto, and I was just gonna not walk right by him, but walk by him, say hello. It was great. I was with a partner of mine, and we exchanged pleasantries, and I introduced him to my partner. It was like, yo, this is the legend right here. This is V-Mart, and Victor was, hey man, great to see you, Poppy. Blah 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 blah. It was a nice exchange, and my partner was just like blown away. He's like, damn, dude, it's crazy. Awesome. Like I've seen you talk to a lot of these guys, and it's funny, the respect, and the best part about it is at the very end, Victor gave me a hug, and he was like, yeah, man. He's like, I was like, great to see you, man. He's like, come on, I only, what did he say? I only forget people who own me. It's always great to see you. Meaning,
implying that he kicked the shit out of you.
And it was great because his son was there. And as soon as he said that to his son, I go, and you're welcome. Nice life, huh? You're welcome.
Nice life.
Yeah.
Hold on.
All right. I got to run. You guys have fun. Okay. I love you. Bye.
Wow. I mean, people loved
the
end of what we did.
I don't know, based on my internet,
so that's probably why Jared
if
I am the floor
in a position to be steering the ship. I haven't seen Joey blink in 7 minutes. I can't hear Joey
like
either.
It's part of the podcast,
so
but leaves every podcast early.
No, we have to navigate Dallas's delay as the hosts.
Jake, would you like me to reset this? You want me to?
All right, I'll pick it up. Joey, did you have any topics you wanted to hit on before we head out of here?
Probably text me since I can't hear you.
Well, we could briefly discuss the impending. What the fuck, man? Is Dallas in this call? Like, you're still talking from 2 minutes ago.
That's what I'll do. You know what? That's what I'll do.
I'm pretending as if he's not here until I see his fucking face move on the screen. So you just go ahead and keep talking. What do you want to talk about?
He's not here, but what I wanted to bring up is the impending Steve Cohen interview.
Yes.
Which
yeah,
we are right now hours away from Steve Cohen's press conference where he will be addressing the media, talking about the Mets. And according to him, he's not holding back.
Yeah, we're going to get it straight from him. That was the phraseology, right? Yeah.
That will be, yep. You'll get it from me straight.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what exactly is discussed, because like it was on the heels of like Epler having a press conference or coming out and saying that, we basically still have faith in this current roster and we'll be mindful of opportunities, but we're not panicking, sort of thing. And then for your owner to come, what I at least perceive to be as like over the top of that with, you know what, I'm calling my own press conference and I'm going to be talking now. It's sort of like, well, all right, that probably doesn't make him feel great, but I don't know, man. Like, I know you've been pessimistic on the Mets. I was a little bit more optimistic. I think we talked about that enough specifically the other day, but we don't have any other owners like this in the sport. So this is his own kind of spectacle. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, because he is definitely back on Twitter, which I've been seeing an influx of tweets by Mr. Cohen, which is something you'd like to see, man, because he was talking a lot of shit on Twitter, being very visible when he came in and was like the saving the day for the Mets, spending all this money, then kind of got bullied offline. They kind of pulled the Wainwright a little bit. He sold GameStop or some shit. He was involved in GameStop, shorting stocks. Maybe SEC was like, maybe chill. We're going to have to crack down on you again, which he's been in trouble with.
This is just reportedly. Yeah. Like, we're not reporting anything officially. Yeah. But.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a fraud and a thief. I'm not saying that. He has been in trouble in the past for being a fraud and a thief, but I never said he was.
Right.
I'm just curious of what he's going to say, and why he thinks he needs to say anything. Is he going to give them a pep talk? Is this going to motivate the players to play better?
Yeah, that gets at my point too, because I just wonder what can be said here that will make a difference, unless the only difference he's looking to make is creating like media content, or having this press conference and what comes out of it become its own story, sort of thing. We were talking about we sort of danced around like pitchers that might become available at the deadline. I do wonder if there's a world where if the Mets get far enough back and this team is, maybe looking to shed some second half salary, if, one of the aces or Verlander specifically becomes available. Obviously his market would be fairly limited just given the amount of money owed to him, but that's something. Is that
what Uncle Stevie's going to be talking about?
Where this goes with them? Because what's that now?
Is that what Uncle Stevie's going to be talking about? I can already tell we got a massive delay here as well. This is fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm. We're having a tough time here in Dallas. But what they just did with Eduardo Escobar, which is basically trade him so they don't have to pay him. So this is like the first time we've seen under Steve Cohen's ownership of them being like, all right, like let's chill and not spend. Like since the get-go, he's been like, fuck it, we'll just spend $1 billion. They've already kind of starting. That's like the first sign of them cutting back.
Yeah. And I know that like the spending is like somewhat of a temporary solution until like, the organization is built up internally and like the farm system is humming at a level that allows it to spend at the top tier while also like not blowing past payroll restrictions. But the fact that you're potentially already seeing a pare down, I think is a little bit disconcerting.
Well, that we've seen this pattern before with new owners. They come in and spend a shit ton of money when they first start, and then after like 4 or 5 years, for whatever reason, I'm sure they're like, they realize can't do this forever, or they don't want to do this forever.
For sure. One thing I wanted to touch on, it was kind of the only thing that we didn't get to that was on my list. Curious if you have any reaction. Just like a little bit of a Clayton Kershaw appreciation moment, because I do think with the sport moving so fast as it does with games every day, this sort of greatness and continued persistent greatness can get lost in the shuffle. But another like outstanding start for Kershaw last night, not necessarily the most dominant. I think he only had 2 strikeouts in 6 innings, but at this point, I just don't care about that kind of stuff with him. 2.55 ERA over 16 starts this year. He has a 2.40 ERA in 38 starts since the beginning of last season, and he just wrapped up his June with a 1.09 ERA in 5 starts. I just like, I feel like we all braced ourselves as a baseball community for the downturn of Clayton Kershaw like a half decade or so ago. And I know we've done all that stuff where it's like, oh, his ERA since the last time he even won a Cy Young is this. And we don't necessarily need to do all of that again, but like he's making a case as a viable Cy Young candidate again for the first time in kind of a decently long time. And I just
call
think
this his swan song. Why
are you calling it his swan song?
No, I because I was like, oh, you know what? It's a 1-year deal. It's he's just gonna. But,
I see. Yeah, I remember you said that. Okay.
Yeah, and he just continues to get better. And Jared is always, as soon as I say that, Jared's always, drawing the Tim Wakefield comparison. Like, as long as he wants to pitch, he'll have a locker in the room. He'll have a jersey hanging in the locker. He'll be able to go take the ball every 5th day if he wants to. And it's just bananas to think that at this point in his career, this is where he's at still. This is what it looks like still. And to your point, not the dominance of hitters by via the swing and miss that you're used to with the frequency that you were used to in prime Kershaw years, but still making pitches, still dominating lineups to the point in this day and age where he is giving you those 6+ quality innings damn near every time he takes the ball.
So like CC Sabathia is a guy that we've talked about off and on this podcast. And I think we talked about him last time during the Hall of Fame conversation. This is by no means meant to throw shade on CC Sabathia. In his 30s, from age 30 on, CC Sabathia posted a 3.98 ERA. And we were all like, damn, man, CC really adjusted really well to like that post-peak era where he couldn't blow shit by everybody like he could at the beginning of his Cleveland days. Like, wow, that's so impressive. 3.98 ERA, like eating innings. Clayton Kershaw has a 2.79 ERA in his 30s. Like, it's just like, not every pitcher who is a great pitcher or even a Cy Young pitcher or even a guy who's on a Hall of Fame path in his 20s, not everyone ages this well. Like, King Felix was at one point just as nasty as Clayton Kershaw, basically, and had just as much hype as Clayton Kershaw and all that, and just as much on-field success at one point. And like, King Felix has been out of the game for seasons now, and Clayton Kershaw is still throwing up seasons where he's got an ERA of 2.5, like basically seasons where he's equaling his career average in his mid-30s. And I just like we don't take Ohtani for granted because he's completely unique, in a totally different way. Like, I don't want to take Clayton Kershaw for granted because I just didn't think we'd be seeing this in 2023.
Yeah, definitely. Like, he's weirdly become underrated somehow. Which
the best pitcher of his generation.
Yeah. I just think it's because he was so good. It makes it seem like he's declining while still having an ERA like 2.5, because he had an ERA under 3 his whole career basically, and under 2 for like several years. Led the league in ERA 4. He was such a beast that now he doesn't seem like that much of a beast because he was such a beast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But we also
beasted himself.
And we also have to remember, like you're talking about how beast he was, like that peak that he threw up from, let's just ballpark it as 2011 to like 2016 or 17. That is as good as peaks get in baseball history as far as pitching goes. Like, you can put that up era adjusted against any 6, 7, 8 season run that baseball's ever seen. Pedro, Unit, fucking Walter Johnson, if you want to adjust for error. Like, this is basic Sandy Koufax. This is as dominant as it gets, particularly on a quality perspective. And you're right. Like, he's going to put up an entire second career that may end up being Hall of Fame worthy in its own right. Like, Clayton Kershaw may end up with 2 Hall of Fame careers.
He's on the off the beast meter.
The pitching version of Barry Bonds.
I mean, kind of. I think Barry's.
Steroids?
I think Barry's is a much cleaner. Clean is a terrible word for me to
cleaner
use.
than
No, that was that was like the wrong word choice. Like, if I could have chosen any word, that was the last one I should have chosen.
Dallas goes, I think he might be like Barry Bonds on steroids, and then Jay goes, I think he's on more steroids. Actually, Barry was cleaner than this guy.
Nobody's got.
I just meant
case.
a statistically
I
clean
couldn't agree
case.
more with
Yeah.
you, Yep.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like there was a moment in time, maybe like a couple of years into the Starting Nine podcast, where the tenor of the conversation was on the verge of tilting towards Verlander and Scherzer in who is the greatest pitcher of their generation. And I just feel like right as it was about to tip, it never quite got there. And it's since, I think, only gone back into Kershaw's favor, particularly with the age gap that he has and the fact that we could reasonably expect, if he wants to, that he could pitch for another 3-4 seasons and add to his resume. I just think
Sure looks like it.
It's really awesome. And I do think there's added value in the fact that it's all been done with the same team. And all been done with the same team that has been a primetime level outfit for the vast majority of his career, too. That's all I got.
All right, well, boys, I gotta roll. Yeah, any final thoughts?
No, that was mine.
Joe?
I'll give you a quick one just because I gotta do my quick final thought on pace segment. We'll get it done quick. Ellie De La Cruz, and this is from a couple days ago. This is probably not what it is anymore, but Ellie De La Cruz, guys, this motherfucker, he's been up for what, 2 weeks? He's on pace for 48 steals.
Oh.
He's been playing for fucking 2 weeks, and that would be him playing 101 games. So right now he's on pace to play 100 games and still steal 48 bases. That's how fast that motherfucker is.
Love that. Love that. He's been a freak. Definitely caught the baseball world by storm. They love him in Cincinnati, as they should. The red leggings playing some dynamic baseball behind their young superstar. All right, we will be back manana. Until then. Wow.